My husband's phone buzzed at 3 a.m. Half asleep, I reached for it and saw a message, "I can still taste you. Last night was unforgettable." My heart stopped. The contact name? Just a winking emoji. The next morning, I casually asked, "Who's your new friend?" He laughed, "What friend?" I smirked and handed him his phone. His smile dropped as he read the message, but the real horror came when I called the number. It was one of those nights where sleep felt elusive. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, listening to the rhythmic breathing of my husband, Mark, beside me. The room was bathed in the soft glow of the moonlight filtering through the curtains, casting shadows that danced across the walls. Just as I felt myself drifting into a light slumber, a sudden vibration startled me. Mark's phone, resting on the nightstand, buzzed loudly in the quiet room. I glanced at the clock, 3 a.m. Who could be messaging him at this hour? Curiosity got the better of me. I reached over, intending to silence the device so it wouldn't disturb our rest. As I picked up the phone, the screen lit up, revealing a message preview that made my heart stop. "I can still taste you. Last night was unforgettable." My breath caught in my throat. The contact name was just a winking emoji. My mind raced, trying to make sense of what I had just seen. Was this some kind of joke? A wrong number? But deep down, a sinking feeling began to take hold. I sat there, phone in hand, staring at the message. My hands trembled as a whirlwind of emotions surged through me: confusion, anger, betrayal. I felt the walls of our bedroom closing in, the air becoming thick and suffocating. Mark stirred beside me, mumbling something incoherent before turning onto his side. I watched him sleep, a mix of love and resentment bubbling within me. How could he? After all we'd been through? Unable to bear the weight of my thoughts, I quietly slipped out of bed and made my way to the living room. The house was eerily silent, save for the faint hum of the refrigerator. I sank into the couch, clutching Mark's phone, the incriminating message still glaring back at me. I debated whether to confront him immediately or wait until morning. My mind was a battlefield of conflicting thoughts. Part of me wanted to shake him awake, demand answers, scream and cry. Another part feared what those answers might be. As dawn approached, I made a decision. I would confront him over breakfast, give him a chance to explain. Maybe there was a logical explanation, though I couldn't fathom what it might be. Morning light streamed through the windows as I prepared breakfast, the aroma of coffee filling the air. Mark entered the kitchen, rubbing his eyes, offering me a sleepy smile. "Morning, hon," he greeted, leaning in to kiss my cheek. I turned away, focusing on the eggs sizzling in the pan. "Who's your new friend?" I asked, striving to keep my tone light, though my heart pounded in my chest. He frowned, clearly puzzled. "What friend?" I slid his phone across the counter, the message open for him to see. His eyes scanned the screen, and I watched as the color drained from his face. I don't know what this is," he stammered, avoiding my gaze. "Don't lie to me, Mark," I said, my voice trembling. "Who is she?" He ran a hand through his hair, sighing deeply. "It's not what you think." "Then what is it?" I demanded, tears welling up in my eyes. He remained silent, and that silence spoke volumes. Desperate for answers, I picked up the phone and dialed the number from the message. It rang twice before a familiar voice answered. "Hello?" The voice on the other end wasn't a stranger's. It was my sister. "Lisa." My body went completely still. I didn't say a word at first. I couldn't. My mouth was open, but nothing came out. She said again, "Hello?" Then laughed a little. "Mark? You there?" I felt like I had left my body. I ended the call. My hand was shaking as I put the phone down. Mark saw my face. I didn't even have to say it. He knew. His lips parted, but he didn't speak. He just stared at me, wide-eyed. I finally whispered, "My sister, Mark?" He blinked. Looked down at the counter. Then finally muttered, "It didn't mean anything." That line. That cliché, empty line you think only exists in movies or trashy books. He actually said it. I started laughing. Not the happy kind. The kind you can't stop, but every sound hurts. It echoed through the kitchen and made him flinch. 6 months, I said quietly. How long have you been doing this with her? He looked like a child who had been caught stealing candy. It wasn't 6 months. Just a few, don't lie again, I snapped. He fell silent. The room felt so small. I wanted to smash something. I wanted to scream. But mostly, I wanted to know why. She's my sister, Mark. My only sister. How do you come back from this? His eyes were red. He looked like he wanted to cry, but I couldn't find one tear to give him. She said things, he stammered. Things about you. About how you've changed. How distant you've been. I took a step back like he'd just slapped me. So this is my fault now? He held his hands up. No. That's not what I meant. I'm saying she was just there. I was weak. We were drinking, and one thing led to, stop talking, I said through gritted teeth. You were weak? Is that supposed to excuse this? Silence. I turned away from him. I couldn't look at him anymore. But something kept buzzing in my brain. Part 1 hadn't put together yet. Lisa was married too. Her husband, Derek, had always been kind to me. We weren't close, but he always treated Lisa well, or so I thought. I picked up my phone and texted her, just 2 words, call me. She didn't reply. Not for hours. Not until late that afternoon when I was sitting alone in the den, curtains drawn, heartbroken. My phone rang. Her name on the screen. I answered. Before I could say anything, she whispered, "You weren't supposed to find out like this." I said nothing. "I didn't mean to hurt you," she continued, her voice trembling. "It wasn't planned. I didn't go looking for this. We were drunk, and he was crying about you one night, and I don't know. It just happened." "You let it happen again and again," I said flatly. She was silent. I asked, "Does Derek know?" "No," she said quickly. "No. Please don't tell him. Please. It'll destroy everything." My laugh was dry and bitter. Destroy everything? What do you think you just did to me, Lisa? She didn't answer. Then I asked something I hadn't even realized I wanted to know until it flew out of my mouth. Are you in love with him? The pause on her end was longer than it should have been. I don't know, she whispered. That was enough for me. I hung up. Mark was sitting in the hallway, still wearing the same clothes from the morning. He hadn't moved much. He looked up when I walked by. Where are you going? He asked. To think, I said. And to decide if I want to light both your lives on fire. He didn't stop me. I drove to a park 2 towns over. Somewhere we used to take the kids when they were little. The air was cool, and the bench under the big tree was empty. I sat, watching families walk by, dogs running, kids laughing. Their normal lives looked like another universe. I sat there for hours. And I started to think about Derek. About the fact that he had no idea. That he might be tucking their kids into bed right now, not knowing his whole marriage was a lie. The thought of it made me sick. But then, a worse thought hit me. What if this wasn't the only time? What if Lisa and Mark weren't the only betrayal hiding in my life? My gut twisted. So I did what I had to. I called Derek. Derek picked up after 2 rings. Hey, he said, sounding surprised. Everything okay? I paused. No. Not really. I could hear him walking, maybe stepping into another room. His voice dropped a little. What's going on? I didn't dance around it. I couldn't. I told him everything. The 3 a.m. message. The winking emoji. Me calling the number. Hearing Lisa's voice. Her confession. There was a long silence. Finally, he said, "You're kidding." I wish I was. Another pause. Then a deep, sharp exhale on his end. I knew something was off, he muttered. She's been different. Cold. And she started hiding her phone. But I never thought she'd. He didn't finish the sentence. I'm sorry, I said, genuinely meaning it. No, he replied quickly. Don't be. This isn't your fault. You're the one who just got stabbed in the back twice. That line hit me hard. Then he said something I wasn't expecting, we need to meet. I blinked. What? Not to make this messy, eh? I need to talk to someone who gets it. And maybe we need to talk about the kids. Our families. What happens next? I agreed. We set a time to meet the next evening. A quiet cafe halfway between our towns. But that night, something strange happened. I went home late. Mark was asleep on the couch, a half-empty bottle of whiskey on the table. I walked past him and went to the bedroom. My mind still spinning. When I opened my laptop to distract myself with Netflix or anything not related to my life, something popped up. An email. Left open on his screen. He must have used the laptop earlier and forgot to close out. I know I shouldn't have looked. But I did. And what I found made me feel like I had just entered another version of hell. It wasn't just Lisa. There were more. At least 2 other women. One email chain from 6 months ago. Another just 3 weeks ago. Both with messages like, "Last night was insane. You're addictive. Are you sure she doesn't suspect anything? Let's do the cabin again." I closed the laptop and stared at the wall for a full 10 minutes. So this was Mark. Not just a man who made a mistake. A serial liar. A cheater. Someone who had built an entire double life right under my nose. The man I married 17 years ago? He was long gone. Or maybe he was never real to begin with. The next day, I met Derek at the cafe. He looked like he hadn't slept either. We sat outside under a gray sky. No one else was around. I told him everything. About the emails. The other women. He looked down at his coffee and said quietly, "There's something you don't know either." I froze. He continued, "Lisa, she told me she was pregnant. Last month." My stomach dropped. What? He nodded. But here's the thing. We haven't been intimate in months. So I asked her, "Whose baby is it?" My heart started pounding. She wouldn't say, he added. She just cried and walked away. But I know. I know it's his. The cafe seemed to go completely silent around us. I couldn't even form words. "She's not keeping it," Derek continued. "Or at least, she told me she wasn't. But now I don't know what to believe." Everything was spinning. This wasn't just about a one-night stand anymore. Or even a months-long affair. This was messy. Deep. Twisted. I looked at Derek and asked something I hadn't planned to, "What are you going to do?" He looked at me for a long time. "I don't know. But maybe we should help each other figure it out." Derek and I sat there in silence for a long time after he dropped the pregnancy bomb. Our coffee went cold. Neither of us touched it. When I finally spoke, my voice was flat. "We can't let them walk away from this like nothing happened." He nodded slowly. "You want a confrontation?" "Yes," I said. "But I don't want it to be behind closed doors. I want truth. No more secrets. If they're going to destroy our families, they should do it where everyone can see the wreckage." So we made a plan. Mark's birthday was coming up. Lisa had already invited everyone over for dinner at her house, close friends, family, even some coworkers. She loved playing the perfect hostess. Loved looking like her life was Pinterest-worthy. I told her I'd be there. Derek said the same. They didn't see it coming. Lisa's house was spotless that night. Too perfect. Candles lit, wine glasses lined up, food steaming on the counter. Guests were chatting, sipping drinks, laughing. I walked in with Derek right behind me. We didn't smile. We didn't say much. Mark saw me and immediately froze. His glass of whiskey halfway to his lips. Lisa noticed our expressions next and started walking over, all fake charm. Hey! You guys made it, I held up my hand. No, Lisa, I said, loud enough for the room to go quiet. Not tonight. People turned. Someone lowered the volume on the speaker. Mark stepped closer. What's going on? I looked around the room. Since everyone's here, I'd like to make a toast. I picked up a glass of wine I hadn't sipped. Raised it. My hands were shaking, but my voice didn't waver. To secrets, I said. To betrayal. And to finding out the people closest to you can destroy your life while smiling in your face. Whispers broke out across the room. Mark stepped forward, panicked. Don't do this, Lisa's face was pale. She looked at Derek, then at me. We should talk privately, no, I said, locking eyes with her. Tell them. Tell everyone here how you've been screwing my husband for the past 6 months. Gasps. One of her coworkers dropped her wine glass. Mark grabbed my arm. Please, this isn't the place, I pulled away. The place was your car. The motel. My sister's house. This is where truth belongs. Lisa started crying. It was a mistake. Derek stepped forward, his face calm but voice cold. And the baby? Was that a mistake too? Complete silence. Someone near the door muttered, "Oh my God." Lisa's knees buckled slightly, and her mother rushed to support her. Mark turned on her. You told him? I laughed bitterly. She didn't have to. We put the pieces together while you were out being disgusting. He ran a hand through his hair. It didn't mean anything, it was just, stop, I snapped. Stop insulting me with that lie. You've been sleeping around with multiple women. You think I don't know about the emails? The cabin? Another gasp. A friend of ours, Sarah, covered her mouth. It was chaos now. People whispering, shifting uncomfortably, some clearly trying to sneak out. Mark looked defeated. Lisa sat on the couch crying, face in her hands. I dropped the wine glass onto the table. I hope it was worth it, I said. Because I'm done. You two can rot in whatever mess you've created. I turned and walked out. Derek followed. We stood in the driveway for a few minutes. Both of us breathing like we'd run a marathon. You okay? He asked. No, I said. But I'm glad we did it. He nodded. Me too. The next few days were a blur. Family members called. Friends texted. Everyone had an opinion. Some were supportive. Some thought it should have stayed private. Lisa tried to call me. I let it go to voicemail. Mark sent a long message. Apologies. Begging. Saying he still loved me. That it was just mistakes. That he needed help. I didn't respond. Derek filed for divorce within the week. He offered Lisa a chance to come clean to the kids herself. I heard she refused. So he did it instead. I moved in with my cousin temporarily. I needed space. Quiet. And maybe that's when the emotions really hit. I felt everything. Anger. Loss. Humiliation. But also, a strange sense of relief. Because the worst part of being lied to isn't just the betrayal. It's the constant second guessing. Wondering if you're crazy. If you're imagining things. Now, I didn't have to wonder anymore. I knew. I'm not sure where life goes from here. Maybe therapy. Maybe travel. Maybe just learning how to breathe again without constantly holding it in. I don't know if I'll ever trust like that again. But I know I'll never ignore my gut again. I gave everything to two people who were supposed to love me most, and they shattered it like nothing. But here's what I've realized: the truth hurts, yes. But living in a lie hurts longer. So if you've made it this far, trust your instincts. Ask the hard questions. And don't be afraid to walk away when the mask finally slips. Right now, I'm not hopeful. Not broken. Not angry. I'm awake. And that's a start.